Yeah, we haven't been ourselves in a minute when it came to the defensive side of the basketball, and that is something that us starting five, we have to really buckle down and figure out, because offense is going to be crap here and there. That's just a part of the game. But the defense has to be something that we have to really, really understand and dig deep to do in this league. Because if you don't play defense in this league and you just allow open layups to professional athletes, it's going to be a long night.
Belt to ass, Indiana Fever put to Asia Wilson and the Las Vegas Aces. Good God, that's for Caitlin Clark. That's for the fans. That's for voting Caitlin Clark ninth as the ninth best guard in the league. That's for the fans again. That's for thinking you was going to come to Indiana and win today. That's for the 16 times you beat us before. That's for the game we blew in Vegas. The Indiana Fever put belt to ass on the Las Vegas Aces. Oh my God, I got to wear the belt. I got to wear the belt.
This wasn't just a loss. This was a full-on public basketball execution, and Asia Wilson did not take it well. The mighty Las Vegas Aces didn't just lose, they got steamrolled by a Fever squad that played like their rent was due. So what went wrong? How did Asia's dynasty crumble in real time? And is this the official changing of the WNBA guard? Let's dive in.
The Indiana Fever beat the Las Vegas Aces 81-54 by 27 points. We held the Minnesota Lynx to 59. We follow that up, holding the Las Vegas Aces to 54 points. This was a team win. This was a complete win. Offensively, they did what they needed to do. Defensively, they were hounds defensively.
So here's the setup. The Las Vegas Aces, reigning champs, basketball royalty, the Avengers of the WNBA. You've got Asia Wilson leading the charge, supported by a stacked squad with rings, swagger, and a roster deep enough to send two teams to the playoffs. They're built to dominate, steamroll, and make opponents reconsider their career choices.
Yo, one of the commentators said the Fever only beat the Aces one time in the last 9 seasons. Like, bruh, I didn't know it was like that. That's crazy right there. So this ain't even just a win. This is almost history. You know what I'm saying? Nice win, 25 points. Let me tell you something, bro. There's no way you would have gotten me to believe that the Aces had 4 Olympians on their team.
And then there's the Indiana Fever, the scrappy underdogs, young, hungry, and plot twist, rolling into this matchup without their superstar Caitlin Clark, who's been nursing a groin injury. No Clark, no problem apparently, because instead of folding, Indiana said, cool, we'll just roast the defending champs without her. No training wheels, no safety net, just pure, unfiltered chaos.
I am in shock. The Indiana Fever just beat the Aces. The first win for the Indiana Fever against the Las Vegas Aces since I was 22 years old. Aces MVP to refs, Fever is MVP, and Alyssa Smith, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I predicted it right. I predicted a game right.
Let's talk about history for a second. The Aces had beaten the Fever 16 straight times since 2019. That's not a rivalry. That's just bullying with paperwork. Every time they met, the result was predictable. Vegas wins, Indiana sighs, the world moves on. But this time? This time, the script got lit on fire.
A beating on those Las Vegas Aces, guys. They have managed to get their first W against the Las Vegas Aces since 2016. And man, oh man, Stephanie White, she's heard our cries. She's heard the Fever fans cry out about those fourth quarters. No double-digit leads were blown in this game. And man, oh man, did the Indiana Fever put on a clinic for this fan base, guys. Let's get into it.
From the very first possession, Indiana came out looking like they'd been personally insulted by the Aces at brunch. The Fever were dropping threes like they were in a TikTok shooting challenge. They hit 60% from the field in the first half. Yes, you read that right. While the Aces were out there auditioning for the cast of Can't Shoot, Won't Shoot. Vegas couldn't buy a bucket with Jeff Bezos' wallet. Every shot clanged harder than a metal pot in a toddler's play kitchen. The turnovers? Oh, those were gourmet. 10 of them, 10 in the first half alone. We're talking passes to nobody, dribbling off feet, offensive schemes that looked like they were drawn in crayon. It was like someone turned their elite playbook into a word search. Asia Wilson was clearly over it by minute 6. You could literally see the frustration pouring off her like steam. Normally unshakable, she was getting visibly tight. missed layups, turned her back on the play. That patented Asia stare turned into the look your mom gives you when she finds out you skipped church. And don't get it twisted, she was still working, but the shots weren't falling and the help not even showing up late. Teammates were out of sync, playing like they'd just been introduced at the pregame warm-ups. The chemistry was missing, the energy flat, the vibes legally dead. Meanwhile, Indiana was running a clinic. Aaliyah Boston bullied the paint like it owed her money. Nalissa Smith was slashing through the lane like a ninja. Kelsey Mitchell had a shooting green light that looked nuclear.
That's how they beat the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup game, and that's how they beat the Aces in this one. Also, they scored. There's no question. They're scoring the rock and everything like that. But at the same time, they're holding teams down. Minnesota only scored 59 points. The Aces only scored 54 points, and that's been the difference for the Fever. So you look at that, and you say, what's that attributed to? Well, McDonald comes in and she plays hard, she plays fast, she moves her feet, she gets to spots, she hustles. That makes a big time difference.
And remember, Caitlin Clark wasn't even playing. She was on the sideline in street clothes, probably sipping Gatorade and enjoying the show like everyone else. Then came the moment. That moment. Timeout is called. The Aces bench is silent. The camera pans to Asia, who proceeds to slam a towel, bark at the air, and pace like she's trying to remember why she got out of bed. It was the visual metaphor of a dynasty cracking in real time. Coaches looked like their clipboards were about to file for unemployment. Players stared off into the void. It wasn't a team. It was a televised existential crisis. By halftime, the score read 46-24, a 22-point embarrassment. And the Fever weren't slowing down. They were just getting warm. The crowd could barely believe it. And social media exploding. Fans were out here asking if the scoreboard was broken. Memes were being born mid-game. The Aces were getting roasted like marshmallows at a summer camp, and every second of it was broadcast in HD. Posts were flying. Are we sure this is the same team that went back-to-back? Did the Aces forget there was a game today? Asia looks like she's about to fight the logo. And honestly, valid questions.
That's 100% of SmackDown. Defense wins championships. Indiana Fever beat the Las Vegas Aces 81-54. It was an embarrassment for Becky Hammon. It was a true embarrassment for the Las Vegas Aces. How do you dip down so low? But defense wins championships. And at the end of the day, you got to call it like you see it. The Indiana Fever are rolling high, coming off the Commissioner's Cup. And normally a team may lose a little momentum from that high, but they decided we are not going to come down.
It's because it didn't just look like an off night. It looked like the era was cracking. Vegas was supposed to be untouchable. But Indiana, with no Caitlin, mind you, ripped the heart out of that narrative and fed it back to them on a paper plate. Everything Vegas tried in that first half failed. Fast breaks turned into slow strolls. Screens turned into bump and confuse sessions. And the shooting? My God, they couldn't hit a layup in a phone booth. Indiana, on the other hand, looked like a unit. Every pass had purpose. Every cut had speed. Every rotation on defense was crisp. They weren't just winning, they were making a statement. One that read loud and clear, "We don't need Caitlin to make you look silly." By the time the buzzer sounded for halftime, it was no longer a question of if the Fever were going to win. It was about how bad it was going to get. And let's just say, it got bad. The third quarter didn't just deepen the wound, it tore the entire Aces dynasty wide open and handed it back to them wrapped in Indiana blue. Right out of the break, Indiana launched a 17-2 run that looked more like a demolition project than a basketball quarter. The Aces weren't just playing badly, they were vanishing. 1 minute, it was a 22-point gap. The next, it was a full-blown 27-point beatdown that made fans start checking if the scoreboard was glitching. But nope, it was real. Very real. And it was televised.
Who is the best player in the league, could not put away the Indiana Fever guys without Caitlin Clark. Now, in Aja Wilson's defense, man, I think that she led the team in scoring, guys. 29 points. She was aggressive, but it just wasn't enough, man. It seems like the rest of our teammates have not shown up this whole season for the most part to play. They started off strong, man, but Aja Wilson is going to do Aja Wilson things, man. She is a free throw merchant, man. She'll get to that free throw line. And even her game seems a little bit off, but I don't know, man. She fell in love with Bam over there in Miami.
Asia Wilson, who had already been simmering like a pot about to boil over, finally blew the lid. During a timeout, she could be seen slamming a towel like it owed her money, pacing in the huddle like a motivational speaker who'd had enough of amateur hour. She wasn't just frustrated, she was unraveling. Gestures flying, voice rising, teammates looking anywhere but at her eyes. It was giving, I carried y'all too long and my back is tired. Meanwhile, the Fever? They weren't celebrating, they weren't showboating. They were cold, clinical, and cruel. It was like watching a group of laser-focused assassins quietly and methodically eliminate any trace of Ace's dominance. And the best part? Caitlin Clark wasn't even on the floor. Let's pause for dramatic effect here. The Fever did this historic, humiliating, morale-shattering evisceration without their star, without their media darling, without the sharpshooting, groin-injured floor general who sells out arenas. This was supposed to be the easy one for Vegas. No Caitlin? Should have been a cakewalk. Instead, the Aces got handed a 27-point reality check with a side of, y'all not as good as you thought. Social media? Oh, it collapsed. The timeline caught fire like someone dropped a match in a fireworks factory. Fans were spinning. Even Aces loyalists were throwing hands in the comments. One post read like a funeral. We gathered here today to honor the memory of the Las Vegas Aces, 2022 to 2024. They had a good run.
They want to give this girl a championship so bad. I'm sorry. If y'all didn't count it when the NBA guys won it, or when Asia and them won it, or when Fee won it, or the Liberty won it, you can't count it now. You can't do that.
It's good because you get the money, $500K. That's good.
Oh yeah, facts.
But this doesn't contribute to your legacy though.
But this wasn't just a viral moment. It was a message. A 27-point message wrapped in humiliation and delivered by a Fever team that wasn't interested in narratives, legacy, or mercy. They just wanted the smoke. And they brought it. And let's make one thing clear. This wasn't a one-woman ambush. Caitlin Clark's name wasn't even on the box score. That's what made it so much worse. This was teamwork hell for the Aces. Aaliyah Boston dominated the paint like she was running a private construction site down there. She ate every rebound, boxed out every forward, and bulldozed through Vegas like it was clearance day at Home Depot. If Asia was the MVP, Aaliyah was the MFP, most ferocious presence. Then you had Kelsey Mitchell, sinking shots like she had a built-in sniper scope. Every time Vegas tried to crawl back into it, boom, Mitchell dropped another dagger from deep. Melissa Smith, don't even start. Defense, clamped, transition, smooth, energy, contagious. The Fever passed the ball like it was a secret weapon. The chemistry was so clean, it could have powered a Tesla. Their movement was sharp, intentional, and joyful. Every cut, every assist, every fast break screamed, we play for each other.
Coach, I asked Asia this as well, but what do you even say to your team after a showing like this one? I'd imagine, I know you believe that your team is kind of better than what you saw on the court tonight. What do you say after something like this?
There's not a whole lot to say. That's a complete lack of professionalism to come in here with that effort. Complete lack of focus. They played harder yesterday in practice by a lot. Wasn't even close. So I don't know how you step onto the floor with 20,000 people in the stands and perform like that.
The Aces, on the other hand, played like they got stuck in a group project with people who didn't read the syllabus. They looked confused, disconnected, and borderline allergic to each other. The Fever played like they loved each other. The Aces played like they just met on the bus. And at the center of it all, Asia Wilson. This wasn't just her team. It was her kingdom, her court. But on this night, even she couldn't hold it together. Her body language, a masterclass in visible frustration. Eyes rolling, hands flying, stomping the baseline like the hardwood insulted her ancestors. She tried. Goodness, she tried. She still scored. She still hustled. But everything felt forced, desperate, erratic. And the fans? Oh, they noticed. Asia Wilson, the rock, the leader, the unshakable core, suddenly looked human, mortal. And when the queen starts crumbling, it's only a matter of time before the whole empire cracks. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. When your leader's unraveling, the whole team falls with her. And fall, they did. By the final buzzer, the game was no longer a contest. It was a crisis. Then came the post-game disaster. Locker room energy, thick enough to cut with a butter knife. Rumors started bubbling. Tension between players, side eyes in the hallway. Vibes officially off.
More turnovers than points and assists combined. We got point guard, aka point fraud. And remember, This is probably who the WNBA player said was also better than Caitlin Clark. They said I'm pretty confident they said she was better than Caitlin Clark. Like, Aja Wilson, again, thankfully she did not have more free throws than the Fever, but there was a stage where she had more free throws than the Fever. Thank you, James, for the $5. Really appreciate it. This was the Indiana Fever team we hoped to see. This was the team we hoped to see. And by the way, like, I thought they did a really good job on Aja Wilson. It was just a case where if you looked at Aja Wilson, it was a foul. And Aja made all her free throws.
Aja didn't linger. She didn't dap anyone up. She didn't hug a soul. She stormed straight to the tunnel like she had somewhere else to be. Anywhere but there. Post-game pressers were awkward at best. Answers were clipped. Expressions blank. Eyes tired. It felt less like a championship team and more like a group waiting for their group chat to explode in passive-aggressive texts. And here's the real kicker. This wasn't just about one bad game. This was a red flag waving in 4K because now the power balance in the WNBA, it's tilting and fast. The Aces no longer feel untouchable. They feel shaky. They feel vulnerable. And the Fever, they're not a cute underdog story anymore. They're a problem. This blowout wasn't just a statistical blip. It was an exposure. Meanwhile, the internet had zero chill. Fans were out for blood, laughter, and memes. And the big question now, is this just one bad day or the beginning of the end? Is this the wake-up call the Aces needed or the changing of the guard we've all been waiting for? Because if you're paying attention, the Fever's got something real. Their chemistry, electric, their depth, dangerous, their drive, relentless. With or without Caitlin Clark, they've found their rhythm. They've built their identity. They've sent a message that echoed far beyond the box score, and if the Aces don't regroup fast, Asia's reign might be on a countdown clock.
I want you to look me in the face, right in the eyes. The Indiana Fever are arriving right on schedule, right on time. Caitlin Clark not in the lineup, handling the business anyway. The Indiana Fever put belt to ass on the Las Vegas Aces. Don't go to Indiana, some shit might go down, was once said by Aja Wilson. And she was correct. This was a beat 'em down. The Aces held to a grand total of 54 points as the defense carries over from the Commissioner's Cup game, and the Indiana Fever have the league spooked.
One thing's for sure, if this kind of beatdown happens again. And now, as the WNBA dust settles and the Aces try to figure out which direction is up, let's talk about what really happened here and what comes next. Because while Vegas is out here licking their wounds, the Indiana Fever just lit a signal fire visible from space. This wasn't some random fluke. This wasn't a lucky shooting night or a bad ref call. This was a systematic, well-coordinated mugging. And the scary part? The Fever aren't even fully healthy. Caitlin Clark, the human highlight reel, the $1 million ratings machine, wasn't even on the court. She was out with a groin injury, watching from the bench like an evil mastermind, letting her crew handle the dirty work. And her crew? They handled it. This team, once mocked, dismissed, and memed into irrelevance, is now sitting at the cool kids table. They've gone from Caitlin and the extras to a legitimate playoff-bound unit that doesn't just survive without their star, they dominate. We're witnessing a transformation in real time. The Fever went from 5-win laughingstock to a team with actual identity, chemistry, and a game plan that doesn't rely on a single savior. Every player knows their role. Every possession has purpose. And they play like a team that just discovered they love making elite franchises cry. And look, let's be honest, nobody thought the Fever would be here this fast. Not even the most delusional Indiana fan had a vision board that included dragging the Aces by 27 while Caitlin sat in a hoodie. But here we are. The blueprint is in place. The confidence is skyrocketing. And the rest of the league, they should be sweating. Because now, the Fever are making the playoffs look not just possible, but inevitable.
What a game. The Indiana Fever was flat out dominant today. Dominant from start to finish. From start to finish, it was dominance. Beat down. That's you Uncle Willie's son. Yeah, that's what it was today. The Indiana Fever blow out the Las Vegas Aces by nearly 30 points. They win by a final score of 81-54. That is how you stand on business. Y'all said we was going to lose.
And Vegas is now officially on panic watch. This wasn't just a tough loss. This was a full-blown identity crisis. Two-time champs turned clunky, chaotic mess. Aja Wilson, still a generational talent, still a beast in heels, looked like she was mentally drafting transfer papers mid-game. Kelsey Plum couldn't find her rhythm. Jackie Young disappeared. The bench had the energy of a middle school study group. And Coach Becky Hammon, let's just say the playbook might have ended up in a shredder after that performance. The fear now is deeper than just losing a regular season game. It's the feeling that everyone just watched the crown slip. Panel shows? Oh, they were feasting. Analysts who'd been riding the Vegas train all season suddenly pulled the emergency brake and dove off. Meanwhile, the Aces don't just have to win again, they have to convince the world they haven't lost it, that this wasn't the end, that A'ja Wilson still runs this league, that this was just a hiccup, not a warning siren. But with every loss, every tantrum, every camera shot of A'ja frustrated and alone on that bench, people start wondering, was this just a bad night? Or the night the WNBA power structure flipped for good? So buckle up, because the WNBA just got spicy, dramatic, and absolutely must watch. And the next time these two teams meet, oh, it's going to be personal.